Hello book buddies, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Gwen, owner of Gold Dust Editing and Book Reviews, where you guessed it, we edit, review, and promote books. For information on how to submit your work to us for one of our services, there's a link in the description down below. And while you're there, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. So today we're heading to Sevilla. It is The Setting for Love Costs, the third book in the Shards of Sevilla series by author E.B. Roshan. Here's your blurb. So this is a romance, and it is actually a novella. The book is about 125 pages. Not necessarily a bad thing, so I don't want you to be turned off by, the brevity or anything like that. So the story takes place at the end of a 3-year war, and the new president has allowed the European League to come in and remove the Tor residents, I hope I'm saying it right, Tur residents from the city of Dor, and relocate them to other countries that have agreed to take so many, of the residents. So, but in the meantime, they have to stay at a refugee camp, which is called the Peace Camp, or Camp Peace, I believe is what it's called. And Radoslav, which is the hero in the book, he is an interpreter. He received a job as an interpreter, and that is how he encounters Danya. And he's attracted to her, and it's not just her looks and her bright pink hair, it is her personality. Considering what is going on, she's a very strong person, and he's attracted to her, and worries for her safety. So it is her and her brother, and she refers to him as her foundling baby, that are being relocated. And she calls him that because it's not really her child, but it was her friend's child, and the baby's parents were killed. So she's taken on this infant as her own. So, he helps, he is translating as they take this trip to the camp. Well, the story, in a romance, you're used to the story, or the story should center around the developing relationship between two people. I'm not exactly sure that's what happens in this book. Do they develop some type of relationship? It's questionable. And I say that because the story, it's very quick, and it's not just because it's 125 pages, but there's not a lot of relationship development between them, and that could turn some of you romance readers off. You avid romance readers, you're looking for this love story to develop, and that's not really what it's about. Their marriage is a marriage of convenience. Not convenience, that's the wrong word. I'm going to say necessity. Because what has happened is there's a group of Tur, it's T-U-R, and I think, that's how I should pronounce it. Some of them have a tattoo on their wrist, which identifies them as members of another group, like the Rodian group or something like that. And eventually the government or the European League says, okay, they've decided that anybody who's a part of that group cannot continue on. They can't stay with the camp. They're not going to take them any further. So if they leave them behind, those people will be, lambs for the slaughter. Basically, they will be killed by the Sevian troops or whatever. And so he marries her to give her protection. And the way the story is written, at the point he decides he loves her, it's kind of jarring, to say the least, because they've seen each other at this point maybe 2 or 3 times, and only one of those times where they spend any alone time together, and it wasn't like a date or anything. It was because he was giving her a ride to retrieve, some property, a bag that her brother needed. And so the story is their relationship is kind of there, but it's kind of not. And I just wanted to be upfront about that if you're looking for, a great romance, love story, this really isn't that type of romance. So, I've read novels, novellas, I should say, that they were short, 100 pages, 150 pages, and the story was still somehow well developed. And one thing that comes to mind is, in those stories, the couple, it's one of two things. The couple already has some type of relationship, like they were neighbors or childhood friends, or maybe they were in the same dance class or co-workers. There was something there where they already knew each other. And so when the story starts, there's already this heat simmering underneath. And now we pick up, where they're attempting to develop some kind of relationship. Number two choice or different way I've seen it done for, a novella is like they didn't know each other at first, but they're introduced in the first chapter. And then when chapter 2 starts, it'll say something like, 2 weeks later or 6 months later. So it does this passage of time. And this book doesn't do that. And I'm not saying that's the only way to make a story work in, in few pages. But those are, some of the methods used that I've seen it, done. And I don't know if this story should have, used something like that, if the author should have used something like that for this story. But what I'm really leaning toward is this book should have been a full novel. It should have not ended at 125 pages. The author's writing is commendable. She is very good at describing things. Her narrative is good. It's not a thing where I'm going, okay, this doesn't seem natural. It flows naturally. The conversation, the dialogue between conversations between the characters flow, and it seems natural, and it's individualized. Like I could read something and be able to tell you which character more than likely said it without dialogue tags being attached. Like if you removed all the dialogue tags, I could say, I bet this character said that. And if you hear that little clawing noise, my dog decided to go venture off. But anyway, so that writing is good. Her writing is good. It's, like I said, I don't know. I'm leaning more toward this should have been a full novel instead of novella. And I think that would have, if more time had been spent developing this relationship, it would have been a really great love story. So I felt kind of cheated. There were some holes. It's sort of like, okay, how did they get to that point? Are we just to assume something else happened that you didn't share with us? And in some stories that could work. You could describe a little bit of something and then readers may say, oh, I get it. I bet this and that happened, and it's plausible and it makes sense. But when it comes to romance, all you avid romance readers know, the story is about developing the relationship. That is the main focus of the story. So, yeah, that was an issue for me with this book. So, with that being said, it is time for the rating. For those of you who are not aware, I use cups of coffee, and the gist behind it is how many cups of coffee did it take me, or did I need to help me get through the book? And so the less the better. 0 cups of coffee, I should say, is equivalent to 5 stars. 1 cup of coffee is equivalent to 4 stars, and so on and so forth. You get the picture. So big question is, how many cups of coffee did I drink? And now my dog wants to eat. How many cups of coffee did I drink to get through Love Costs? So let's see. Yes, as you can see, 3 cups of coffee are empty. I drank them all. Like I said, it was the brevity and the lack of development of the romance. I really shouldn't say the pages did it. It's not the number of pages. It was the premise did not fit. I don't think fall under a novella, or it needed to be developed a different way. Crunch, crunch, crunch. So with that being said, I will say this. Please remember and keep in mind that reviews are subjective. Hopefully you guys can hear me over the dog. Reviews are subjective, and what doesn't work for me or someone else may very well work for you. So I really, suggest you grab a copy of the book and form your own opinion and come back and share it with us. With that being said, that is it for today's review. Thank you guys for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, happy reading.